We were cutting the whole movie together. And in the summer of 2008, a full year and a half before the movie was released, we sat down for the first time to watch a full cut of the then existing movie. And the movie at that time was very, very long.
So the film was like a mosaic of scenes that were in various stages. So you'd have scenes that were in a pre-cut and then something that was in a virtual camera cut next to something that was turned over 6 months ago that was in animation level, and it was hard to watch.
We had to cut the film shorter because it wasn't quite gelling up. It always felt too long making its points, and I kept surgically taking little bits out here and there. And, we eventually wound up cutting out about 40 minutes of film from the time we first screened it for ourselves a year earlier to the time we finished the cut.
There was a point where we had been hoping to just be able to handle the whole film ourselves. But Jim handed us a cut that was about 45 minutes longer than the one that got released. And it still had a lot of character work in it. We said, okay, if we focus only on this character work, that's more work than we thought we were going to be doing, and it's too late for us to gear up to do the other work.
We made the decision to pull work in late 2008, but we didn't get the approval to do it until spring of 2009. So these shots were just lying in wait, the work building up, Jim stressing out about it.
Yeah, okay, so you still have some tech work to do on contact, shadows, and reflection? And it was a nail-biter. The whole movie was a nail-biter in terms of getting things done, because we were always missing these deadlines that we kind of made up out of nowhere. Let's do this by this date. Because we sort of knew if we didn't do that by that date, we wouldn't get this done over here.
ILM took the most number of shots and the most complicated shots, and their shots had to seamlessly fit in with Weta's work in the end battle. Other sequences were standalone sequences, where we would get companies like Hydraulics, Framestore, or Hybrid, and the other visual effects vendors, a complete sequence that they would deliver to us.
Because of the way this film was done and how long it took to finish shots, we were in a constant state of deadline for, I think, a year and a half to 2 years.
Fire. 3, 2, 1, action.
Basically, for the last part, we were kind of in a marathon run. We couldn't back off the throttle. And we actually went back and shot a little more live action again later after our last capture. So it sort of went capture, live action, a lot of capture, little tiny bit of live action at the end.
Action.
This particular shot, we've got a live action Stephen Lang, where we had to extract that off the green screen, put it together with the digital Jake, combine it with the atmospherics, the digital jungle, everything else. The rebreather face masks in all of these shots as well was digital because it's glass. You're reflecting all of the studio lighting instead of the actual jungle that didn't exist.
With Avatar, we had to do everything. There were vehicles, there were creatures, there were characters, there were jungles, nighttime, daytime, clouds, weather, rain. Anything that you could think of, we had to create. It covered the whole gamut.
The first 13 shots we did for the movie took a year, and after that it was sort of an exponential curve up, and we were delivering 200 shots a week at the end.
And what we had to teach ourselves was that there was a process of development. And the slower we went at the beginning, the more Weta was able to learn and improve the infrastructure.
Which actually worked okay because we got better and better and better as we got toward the end. So we could actually go faster and faster. So even though we sort of backloaded the whole schedule, we had learned how to go fast enough to be able to compensate for it.
The first time that we actually showed it to a large group of people was Cinema Expo, which is an exhibitors convention in Amsterdam. We argued about what content to include, and there was a concern that we were including too much of the Fern Gully elements of the film. In particular, the scene where the wood sprites land on Jake. We decided that we were going to keep it in. And we presented this in Amsterdam to a mixed audience, 3,500 people. The response was remarkable. That was really when it proved to us that you could not just sell this movie in 30-second bites. More of this movie was more. We went out and we did Comic-Con, where we showed an abbreviated version of what we showed at Cinema Expo.
Are you ready to go to Pandora? All right, then let's go.
There were some concerns at the studio that the reaction wasn't big enough. I thought it went perfectly. It was a great introduction to an audience.
Still, they were dealing more with the 3D and with the CG. They weren't dealing with the film as a narrative. They weren't dealing with it as a story. So we were introducing them to what the film might be.
We don't want you to know until December 18th. We want you to still hold back something for the fun of the voyage.
And then John Lando and I came up with this idea to do Avatar Day.
Avatar Day was where we went out and we took over theaters and we invited audience members to come for free to see 15 minutes of the movie in 3D around the world. It was interesting. The trailer for the film went out the day before, and the trailer got a very mixed response.
There was this sense of, well, what's all the fuss about? This looks like, Smurfs or Thundercats or whatever. And pretty soon they're ripping us a new one on the internet, 7,500 comments long about how bad this movie is and how it's doomed to fail.
I did press for another film on Avatar Day, and all those guys were bagging the movie because they'd just seen the little kind of trailer on the TV. That was a hard thing to stand there and defend, but I'll defend this product all the way. And Jim just said, we just stand by what we do and keep telling the story.
But the Avatar Day footage, when people went and saw it in the theater and didn't see it in a 1.5 or a 2-minute trailer, but saw 15 minutes of the movie, the response was overwhelming.
You ready to rock? Yeah. All right, cool.
I remember in the last year before the release of the film, I think I got about 5 or 6 days off in a year between doing the sound, doing the music, doing the visual effects, working with all the different teams that were working on the finish. It was unbelievable.
And we did video conferencing, so Jim could actually physically point out something. And we would spend hours, if not days, in these review sessions. And oftentimes we would schedule multiple ones in one day, where we would schedule the crews that were in London in the early morning, because it was already there late night.
Tim, how you doing?
You doing good thing?
Yeah. What time is it there? It must be fairly late.
We would schedule the crews that were in California at midday, and we would schedule in the afternoon Weta, because it was now just their morning.
It's still boiling here, and then we essentially kind of run out of it to what is now 100% Pandoran atmosphere.
One of the biggest challenges on this movie was James Horner's. How do you create music for a world that doesn't exist? Jim wanted him and challenged him to combine indigenous sounds into a traditional cinematic score. He came to the set when we were filming the scenes that had the music. He had to create music early on so that we could play it back during certain scenes.
The first thing James did on this film was bring in an ethnomusicologist and start collecting sounds, vocal sounds and various different instruments from around the world.
Initially, the music was a lot more ethnically based. There were lots of people playing stuff. The art department drew about 12 or 15 ethnic percussion instruments that these people would play. And so I was tasked with writing songs for these instruments. And all of that had to be done before things were shot, because obviously the actors had to do the motion capture for that stuff. What I did was I sampled a lot of interesting instruments. And then I worked with them electronically to get an effect that was different than the instrument could make, but that had a kind of a weird spectral quality that made it sound like you really haven't heard it before, but it doesn't sound quite human either.
3, 4, Kappa, Kose, Mawe, Ta, 2, 3, Ka, Tane.
And they were two women that just are professional singers, and they just pinched off their voice to sound like sort of half African, half Navi, children, adult.
Tane, Tane.
A couple of days went by where we didn't really keep anything that was sung. It was just getting the right sound.
We can get one good one.
No, we trust your ears.
Yeah.
Paul Frommer was the guy who invented the language, and I asked him to write me syllables and consonants that I could use when my people were singing. I was true to the Na'vi language.
I think it's an amazing score. And because it has all this textual richness from all these ethnic instruments, he would segue between stuff that sounded very tribal into very orchestral sections of the score. But I thought the transition between the two was seamless. And I think it's incredibly powerful. And I think he gets to these amazing kind of spiritual moments. He gets to these huge, epic, heroic moments. Which, by the way, there are a number of composers that can do that epic, heroic thing. But to integrate that all organically and always tell the audience exactly what they should be feeling without trying to force them to feel it. It should always accentuate beyond what you're already predisposed to feel.
Movies aren't made by one person, they're made by a big group of people. And there's got to be one idiot that kind of charges out in front and says, "Come on, guys, let's go." But then after that, you're putting up on the screen as a result of a team, and in this case, we're going to put a movie out there that's going to look amazing, no matter what version you see it in. But we can know in our hearts that we made a great film. So I think you guys should give up a little round of applause for yourselves.
Jim said that we would solve our last problem on the last day we delivered the movie. And that held true.
Jim looks at every phase of production and says, at a certain point, this is going to go out of our hands. So what we envisioned doing was basically customizing the release so that every viewer in every theater got the best possible experience. There's a lot of vagaries when it comes to public exhibition. Screens are different sizes. You've got different formats and technologies involving 3D. So we did something that had never been done before. We did a customized release. Wherever you went, it was going to be the perfect digital cinema package for that theater, and you were going to get the best possible screening of Avatar that you possibly could.
We spent 4.5 years on Avatar. We wanted to deliver a perfect experience. Perfect in the photography, perfect in the post-production, perfect in the CG. And we really jumped through a lot of hoops to deliver that experience to the audience.
Just to put the glasses on and start that movie and be taken right into space and right to Pandora, it was so visceral. It was so exciting, and I'd never been taken literally, it felt, to another world. I wasn't prepared for, first of all, how powerful the emotional story was and how subliminal the effects were. It was seamless, and I just forgot all the work that had gone into it and was just transported.
The reaction around the world has just been incredible. It really just caps the work. It's just a really nice way to just say, okay, we think this worked.
The only difference was in blogs after the fact, where people started sort of criticizing the film's take on the military or corporate America. And I thought, well, that's fine. Those comments are there in the film for a reason. So if it provokes a reaction, that's great. That's what it's supposed to do.
I think we're living in a day and age now where we realize what we're doing to this planet. It's right in the forefront of a lot of people's minds.
You young people are going to have to accept this responsibility. It's your lives.
This movie's basically saying, let's just stop for a minute and take a damn look at what we're doing to this world. It seems quite simple. By doing something you can make a change. It just comes down to your choices in life. It seems like the Na'vi have discovered that, how to live with one with their planet and live with one with all their insecurities. That to me is the message of the movie. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to make a better choice.
I've been asked to be here to help them raise this voice, raise this cry, and to be a part of this very, very important moment and this very important battle.
This movie has sent those messages out in a very profound way, and we all, I think, collectively have been touched by that.
Jim has gone to such great lengths to not only trying to say, suspend your disbelief, he's trying to say, be here, experience this.
I love the fact that I'm part of a project that's always going to be remembered or thought of as a very significant moment in the history of film.
It feels really, really good to have been a part of something so special and to have worked with people that were so passionate about something that we all just held together and gave it our all. And it's a really good family to belong to. And that's what thrills me, is the fact that throughout history, we're stamped. And nobody can take that away. Like, it did happen, and it did conquer, and it feels great.
Whatever one thinks of the movie, I know what we accomplished in solving these technical challenges. I know that we were able to take from the actors their beautiful, amazing performances and preserve them in their computer-generated characters. And that was my biggest goal.
See the world we come from. There's no green there. They killed their mother. And they're gonna do the same here.
The question remains, how much does a piece of entertainment, a movie, actually change the way people act? One can hope that people feel that little twinge of conscience, that little sense of responsibility. It can only be a movement in the right direction. I just don't want to feel that I'm going through this process of making these movies just entertaining people and it has no higher purpose. I'll settle for a small change.
I see you.
Summer of 2007, first movie I ever did.
Avatar is
Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
A new way of creating movies.
The epic experience.
More than just another movie project.
A groundbreaking movie.
A great warning to our planet.
Best film I've ever worked on.
Like going back to film school.
An amazing roller coaster ride. Sci-fi epic awesomeness.
I'm getting paid overtime for it.
The most challenging.
Avatar is a date magnet.
The director's vision.
Truly a sacred experience.
The first feature film I worked on.
A completely immersive experience.
It's new, it's inspirational.
It's my wife and I having our first child.
I spent 9 months on James Cameron's Avatar.
It's long hours.
It's also part of my personal history now.
Great storytelling.
It's also a lot of friendship.
I met my wife through someone on Avatar.
I had 2 more kids. I was on it for so long.
It was a surprisingly musical world.
Mentally stimulating.
We had our first kiss at a crew party.
Exciting.
An achievement to be proud of. We got married and had a child, all while I was still on Avatar.
It offers a brand new future.
Avatar is all kinds of awesome.
Simply amazing.
Avatar is spectacular.
The best.
Avatar is gonna rock your balls off. Difficult.
A testament of love.
The greatest retrieval film ever.
Art, science, and awesome. Creatively rewarding experience I think I've ever had.
The most complex, challenging, rewarding show that I've ever worked on.
A reminder that there are no boundaries to filmmaking.
The collaboration of seemingly endless talent and passion.
It's the defining film of our generation.
Was so inspiring.
Avatar stands for family.
It takes a plan to make a movie.
An odyssey of discovery.
Amazing, seminal work of art.
The new blueprint. Avatar is about seeing the forest for the trees.
The artistic challenge of a lifetime.
That's that.
Avatar is such a great movie. I'm gonna go watch it.